Welcome to the School Improvement Institute training for steering team members. The focus of this training is to prepare for the council discussion about root causes. My name is Sue Reynolds and I am the president of the American Student Achievement Institute. This month's video will cover two topics. One, we'll begin with a review of the steps that we've taken in the past few months, and then we'll move on to an overview and tips for this month's tasks. And again, this month we'll be talking about the preparation for your School Improvement Council's Discussion 4 on root causes. Before we begin, we'd like to ask your steering team to have a quick discussion about the steering team tasks. So if you would, please pause the video now, quickly review who is assigned to which tasks, and then restart the video. Welcome back. So you've talked with everyone and everybody is aware of their tasks on the steering team, and we're ready to move on. So a couple of things to talk about before you have the discussion with your council, so pre-discussion. One is we want to make sure that the steering team has watched the discussion prompt for Council Discussion 4. So if you've not watched that prompt yet, that video, please pause the steering team video now, go to the discussion page, and begin the council video, watch that, and then come back to the steering team video. Okay, so if you haven't watched the council video, please pause this video now, watch the video, and then come back. Okay, so everybody has now watched the council discussion 4 prompt, and we're ready to go on and prepare for that discussion. So we're preparing for the council discussion about root causes. Let's begin with an overview. There's 4 objectives that we want your council members to meet. The first one is that we want to make sure that all of your council members understand root causes, the rationale for having them, the 2 different types of root causes, general and specific, and then how to find root cause data. The second objective is to make sure that your council members know where to find the root cause data. Third objective is to have your council members each participate in a discussion about possible root causes for each of your SMART goals. And finally, we want the council members to understand where to find drill down root cause data. So if they are interested in seeing if there are root cause gaps between different types of student groups, different ethnicities, or free and reduced lunch versus paid lunch students, they'll know where to look for that root cause data. And then finally, we want to make sure that your council members understand the external expectations about root causes that are coming from the State Department of Education or the Federal Department of Education or the General Assembly, so that they understand that in addition to their comments and their thoughts, the school is required to address root causes that people outside of your school may have for your school. Okay, so in terms of pre-discussion tasks, one thing we want to make sure that you've done prior to opening up the discussion is to check your achievement goals report. Make sure that each of your priority areas of concern or your PAIs is entered accurately the way you want it to be expressed, and that each SMART goal has also been entered accurately. When you're happy with your achievement goal report, then we can move on to the next step, which is root causes. So as we begin the root cause discussions, one of the first things we want to do is to have a discussion with the student body, similar in format to the discussions that you've had in the past couple of months. This month the prompt is, what is interfering with learning at our school? So it's an open-ended question for the students. We're just asking them to brainstorm what's interfering with learning at the school. Okay, so that's the student body discussion. Here's a couple of tips as you're getting ready to open this discussion. One tip is to remind your council members that these discussions take time. Sometimes I think because this is an online discussion, people think this is going to be really quick. They're going to get online, answer a couple questions, and be finished in 5 minutes. But prior to each of the SI2 discussions, we need the council to do some activities so that they come into the discussion prepared to discuss. So in each of the discussions, we want to start with a product review from the previous month. We want to watch a video that will include a prompt for the current discussion. And then also the council members will be asked to complete tasks before they enter into the discussion. This month, for example, we're going to ask the council to review some student data. Next month, we'll be asking the council to do some online research. So we'll be doing all these types of activities before the council members actually begin to enter their discussion responses. So we anticipate that these meetings, these online meetings, if you will, or online discussions, will take about 2 hours to prep for and then to participate in. So we want to make sure that your council members have that understanding so that when they come into this discussion, they're not disappointed or confused because they thought it was going to be a really quick couple of questions. And then one other thing, at the very end of the prompt, the video prompt for the council, we talk about the drill down reports, and we explain to the council that the steering team members will be really digging into the drill down reports, but that they have the opportunity, if they would like, to go into the drill down reports too. One of the questions that you might get is, you know, kids don't even know that if they're free and reduced or not free and reduced. So we're not confident that the students would report that accurately during the demographics section of the survey. And what we'd like to suggest to you is that if there are any reports of the drill down reports that you do not believe in, that you don't trust that the data has been accurately reported, then we would suggest that you just disregard those reports. So there's plenty of other reports that you can look at, and if you decide not to look at the lunch program status, that you can start to look for some drill down data. So okay, just wanted to leave you with that tip. Now, so that's pretty much just things to think about before you open the discussion. Really pretty quick. You've done this several months now, and it's kind of the same kind of routine. We do want to spend some time, though, talking about the post-discussion. As we explained in the council video, identifying the right root causes is really key to raising student achievement. So we want to have this post-discussion activity that the steering team is doing to be done very, very carefully. So after the discussion, so if we look here, this is a picture of the process page, and we've worked up to step 6, which was monitor the council discussion, and now we're moving on to step 7. Step 7 says that you're going to conduct a steering team meeting, and kind of explains that during that meeting you'll be looking at external expectations, drill down reports, and then making a preliminary selection. So when you click on the button in that row, you'll come to a page that looks like this, and this just kind of gives you a menu for your steering team meeting after the discussion to help you consider all the things that you need to as you're identifying, as you're creating the first draft of your root causes. So the first thing that we want you to do as a steering team is to review all of the council discussion for each of your SMART goals to see what they thought were the root causes for that SMART goal. And then in step 2, based on the council discussion, you'd come up with your initial root causes, and we'd like to suggest that you do that on a root cause help sheet. Then, after you have those root causes kind of spelled out, the preliminary draft, Then you would look at, in step 3, the drill down reports. And so you'd be asking, okay, if one of our concerns is that we have poor attendance, and we think that's one of our root causes, then we want to drill down further and say, okay, exactly who has poor attendance? Is it all students? Is it the third graders? Is it the boys? Is it the low-income kids, the free and reduced kids? So we want, once we know what the root causes are, then we want to drill down to see exactly who the student group is. So we'll do that in step 3, and then in step 4, we'll edit the root cause help sheet based on the lessons that we learned about from the drill down reports. Then in step 5, we'll look at the external expectations. And again, we're saying, okay, as we consider these external expectations that we have to do to be compliant with state rules and regulations or federal rules and regulations, as we look at those external expectations, are we meeting all of them with our root causes? And if not, then in step 6, you would adjust or edit your root causes again to make sure that they're meeting all the state and federal expectations, and then finalize that root cause help sheet. So just to give you kind of another idea of what that would look like, in the first step, you're going to the council discussion. You're going to look at all of the comments that were made below the video screen. And then you're going to a root cause help sheet in step 2, and you're going to put the root causes that you're suspecting are playing a part in your achievement on this sheet. So you may write something like low attendance. You've given some data that backs up that opinion, and then you've checked which which SMART goals that root cause impacts. So in this case, of course, low attendance would impact all of the SMART goals, so we put a check next to general. Another example, again, that we don't have any extra help for Algebra I. You know, how do we know that? Because teachers have reported that extra help's not available. And which SMART goal is that going to impact, and then we check the appropriate one. So in step 2 now, we've got the preliminary makeup of our root causes. Then we're going to look at the drill down reports. So when you click on the icon in that row on the steering team meeting page, this report will open up, and you can say, let's just take attendance as an example. Okay, attendance is going to be something that, you know, is within the environment. So, you know, you might want to look at the grade level drill down report and see, are there any specific grade levels that are having trouble with attendance? Then look at the gender report. Is it more boys or girls, or is it across the board? Race and ethnicity, lunch program status, 21st century scholars, IEP or special ed, parental college, typical grades. I always find this report very, very interesting. And then you can also create your own student group to look at if you'd like. So what we're doing is we're trying to fine-tune the student group. That's going to help us later to develop better interventions. Okay, so we're drilling down, and let's say that as we looked at these reports, we found that there was a significant difference, or a big difference, between attendance of boys and attendance of girls. So then when I go back to the root cause help sheet, I'm going to want to edit the root cause to say something like, my concern is that we have a low attendance for boys. So that, you know, kind of fine-tunes the root cause. Okay, then I'm going to start looking at, as a steering team, external expectations. And again, this is something that we thought might be cumbersome and time-consuming for the whole council to do, so we're asking just the steering team to look at these things. So the first one we want to look at is Public Law 221, and again, you know, we're looking to see Public Law 221 requires you to look at your attendance or in your cultural competency, or the faculty's understanding of cultural differences and how that might impact their instruction. And so if there is an issue in either one of those areas, then you must include those areas as root causes. Then moving on, if you're a priority school for the Department of Ed, your DOE requires priority schools to address each of the turnaround principles in their school improvement plans. So we need to make sure that at least one of your root causes addresses each of the turnaround principles. So we are concerned that we have undeveloped leadership in our school, or we're concerned that our, if you had something about instruction, that you were concerned that you weren't using differentiated instruction, then that would link to that turnaround principle. If you're concerned that teachers aren't using classroom assessments to inform their instruction decisions, that would relate to turnaround principle number 4. So we need to make sure that at least one of your root causes aligns with each of those 8 turnaround principles, and if there's a turnaround principle missing, then you need to add a root cause. So, and again, this is only for priority schools. If DOE has identified your school as a focus school, then you need to make sure that you're addressing at least one of the turnaround principles. So it's kind of the same as for priority schools, except you don't have to hit all 8. You just have to make sure that at least one of your root causes addresses at least one of the turnaround principles. Okay, then if you're a Title I school-wide school, you need to have a root cause around these things. Some of these are just a concern that you don't have the report. So in number one, for example, that's not a report. In number 1, you're looking at some kind of root cause or concern about ensuring that all of your teachers are highly qualified, having all highly qualified teachers. And then in number 2, this is just a root cause that says that you're concerned that you don't have a roster of highly qualified teachers, or that there needs to be a plan to maintain or update your roster of highly qualified teachers. We need to make sure that each of these 5 areas gets entered as a root cause, because that later will allow you to develop an intervention to do these things. So, okay. So, and again, as you're entering these, we want to edit your root cause help sheet again. And this time we might say, one of our root causes is that we, think things would be better if we had a highly qualified teacher roster. But when we come to collecting data for that, really the only data that you have is that you don't have one, or you have one that's out of date or whatever. So, but it's okay to just say that you don't have data and that this is being implemented just as a Title I requirement. So, that's fine. But if it is something that you do have data to back up on any of these additions, then you need to put that data in. Okay, so we want to go online now and kind of walk through the system. There we go. So let me see here. There we go. So I'm in the process page, and I'm going to scroll down to the February tasks, which are in Part 7. And again, the first 6 tasks are things that you're used to seeing, having the steering team video prep, the council video, to participate in the learning community that's coming up on February 5th, to enter the student body discussion summary, to open the council discussion, and monitor the council discussion. So same kind of things there. Then number 7 is to conduct that steering team meeting, and when you click on the icon, that will take you to the page that we just looked at in the slides. Then we're going to enter the root causes, and I'd like to show you how that works. So I'm going to click on the Enter Edit button, and oops, I timed out. Hang on here, let me get back in. There we go. So when I enter the root causes, when you begin entering root causes, you'll see that the root causes are going to appear on the page underneath the SMART goals that they're associated with. So the first 4 root causes here are general root causes that will impact all the SMART goals, and then I've got some specific root causes that are aligned with just one or a couple of the SMART goals. So if I want to add a root cause, I just click on the Add a Root Cause for the SMART goal, and then you're going to name the root cause. It will help in some of the reports for that root cause title to be relatively short, like 5-6 words max. So you could just say something like poor attendance, or student discipline, or lack of alignment with standards, or just something really pretty short and very concise, but also very clear. Then in the next box, you're entering evidence why you think that this is a root cause. And then, does this root cause impact some students more than others? If I say yes there, then all the different students groups pop up, the grade levels, and you would check off who that root cause impacts at a rate that is more than others. If you say yes, you'll be asked when you get to interventions to explain how your interventions are reaching specifically the students who are being more impacted by that root cause. I'm just going to make that go away by clicking no again. Which SMART goals does the root cause significantly impact? Notice that the word significantly is in italics. We don't want you to make a claim about the root cause. That's not true. So only check the targeted only check the SMART goals that are significantly impacted by whatever the root cause is. Okay, and the SMART goals that are listed here will be the ones that you typed in the previous step. Then, external expectations and the Indiana rules and regs. If this root cause is going to align with either one of these things, then you check it off. External expectations for Title I school-wide, check those off. And then for focus schools, and then priority schools if you're a priority school. If you're not a Title I school, Title I won't show up. If you're not a focus school, the focus crosswalk won't show up. So this page is customized based on the needs of your school. Okay, then when that's all entered, I'm going to scroll down here. You just hit save, and when you save, that'll make it appear on this root cause page. Okay, so that's how to get the root causes in. Again, it's very important to make that title short, clear, concise, so that everybody knows what you're talking about, and so that it prints well on reports later. Okay, so I'm back on the process page. If I've got my root causes entered, then the next thing I want to do is do a couple of checks with some crosswalks that the computer will provide for you. So the first one is a crosswalk between the SMART goals and the root causes. I've already opened this up, so I'll just go up here and show you what it looks like. So basically what this report shows you is each of your SMART goals in bold, and then also the root causes that are causing there to be an issue in that area, in that SMART goal area. So you can see the first one is just in general these these root causes would impact this general all the SMART goals because they're general root causes. And then the rest of these are very specific SMART goals and the root causes below them. So you might want to check and ask yourself, if I'm really addressing these SMART goals, if I'm really implementing and addressing these root causes, is that going to be enough to impact this SMART goal? If the answer is no, then you need to really think about those root causes and adjust the root causes. So again, if collectively you don't feel like all of the root causes that when after you address them, that's going to make an impact on your SMART goal, then we need to reevaluate what your root causes are. The other thing that could happen is that you might end up with a SMART goal for which you have not entered any root causes. And if that's the case, then you'll get a little red flag that says, oops, no SMART goals entered, no root causes entered for this SMART goal. And you'll need to then think about doing one of two things. Either getting rid of the SMART goal because you're not addressing any root causes that would make it any better, or more likely, you're going to go in and enter the root causes for that SMART goal. So this is just kind of a crosswalk report to make sure that all of your SMART goals are addressed by root causes. Okay, then the next crosswalk is a crosswalk with the external expectations. So, and again, I've opened up that already, so I'll just click up here. So here are all at the top of the page, top of the chart, here are all of the external expectations. These are turnaround principles, they're Title I requirements, they're PL 221 requirements, and then along the side here are your root causes. And we're just showing you that if you have or have not met the external expectation. So right now the external expectation for attendance is not being met. And the external expectation for highly qualified teachers is being met. That I've got a strategy in here, I've got a root cause in here that is, I'm concerned about attracting highly qualified teachers. And so I'll check that off. So in instruction, you can see there's several of the root causes that are impacting instruction. So this is just, again, a tool for you to see, are we addressing all of the external expectations and how are we doing that? Okay, so after you've checked those two crosswalks, then if we need to, we can edit your root causes that you entered. So I would just click on that. Again, your root causes will pop up and just edit as you need to make sure that you've got exactly what you want. And then when you're happy with everything, we would also always review the rubric items and then submit the root causes. So here's the submit button for those. And then finally, at the end of this, we've put a link where you can register for the Indiana Conference on Learning, which will happen this month on February 26th, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay, so those are the steps for this month, and everything I think is good to go, and this is probably the most important discussion that you'll have, because schools that raise student achievement really focus on the right root causes. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. And so a couple other things post-discussion. Don't forget that you need to send the root causes out to your council for consensus. That will be done by the council consensus point person. So there's instructions for how to do it. Download a copy and save it, then send a copy to the council as an email attachment. You can use the email tool that's in the system to come up with all of the email addresses for your council members with commas or semicolons in between them. And then based on the feedback that you get from the council, make sure that you make the edits to the root cause report as you need to for consensus purposes. Okay, and then also if the root causes are edited, please submit a revised copy to us so that we can review. Okay, so finally these are the tasks that we're hoping that your steering team would do right now to set up the student body discussion, to make plans for entering the student body discussion online, for deciding when the council window is going to open, when's it going to close, When are you going to send reminder emails to the council? Who's going to do that? Who's going to enter the summary online? And then post-discussion, when are you going to have your steering team meeting? Who's going to enter the root causes into the online system? Who's going to do the crosswalk checks? And who's going to actually hit the submit button so that the root cause report comes to ASA for review? So, and again, it's, there's always the question, what are you going to do to encourage council members to participate? And then how often are you going to monitor to make sure that the council members are participating? Okay, so let's pause the video now, give your team a chance to talk about these things, and then we'll reconvene. Okay, welcome back. Couple things to wrap up. I do want to talk about the Indiana Conference on Learning. I am so excited about the conference. We have wonderful, wonderful keynotes this year. Teresa Lubbers, the Commissioner for the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, will open the conference with a quick welcome for us. Then the morning keynote is Pasi Sahlberg. He is a former education commissioner in Finland and has written a book that actually was just released in January, so within the past couple of weeks, about lessons that the world can learn about the educational achievement that has happened in Finland. As you may know, Finland has led the world for many years, now is kind of sharing that position with some other Asian countries, but for many, many years, Finland has been way out in front, especially in terms of science, technology, math. So it's very interesting how they accomplished that in Finland. It's very different than how other countries have worked to raise achievement, and I think the stories that we hear from Pasi will be extremely interesting. He is very hard to get as a speaker. He's squeezing us in between going to do presentations in 2 other countries. So very, very, very pleased to have him. And then at lunch, our lunch keynote will be Steve Braun. He is the new commissioner at Indiana Workforce Development, and he just took his position in November, so we're very pleased to have him. And he will be speaking about how to prepare students for all different types of post-secondary ed, including not only 4-year college and 2-year college, but apprenticeship programs, career training in the military, career colleges. So I think his remarks about the amount of rigor that's needed in K-12 to be successful in all aspects of the workforce will be very, very, very interesting. So I'm personally very excited about these keynotes. I cannot wait to hear what they have to say, and I think they'll generate lots of discussion and thinking throughout the day. Once again, our conference features 60 breakout sessions, all presented by practitioners who will talk about what they do in their classrooms, in their schools, in their communities to raise student achievement. And the kind of results that they're getting. So again, thank you to all of you who are presenting for us, and we're just, again, this is really just a day of statewide networking, and I'm really pleased to be able to have 60 breakout sessions that we all can learn from. So remember that our conference is a step of the vision to action process. So once your root causes are established this month, then you'll come to the conference shopping for interventions. So if you know that one of your root causes is poor attendance, you'll come to the conference shopping for ideas about how to address that. So it is a step, this conference is a step of the process, an important step. We're looking at, once the root causes are identified, what are we going to do about them? So, okay, one other thing with the conference, there are complimentary registrations available. All you need to do is contact your county's College Success Coalition. If you go to that website, learnmoreindiana.org/CSC, then click on your county's name, and then click Contact the Coalition and just write a message to your county coalition that you're interested in receiving one of the free codes for the complimentary registration for the conference. Don't forget to register for the Small Learning Community on February 5th, and if you click on that icon in the Participate in the Learning Community in step 3, that will take you to the registration page. And as always, we want to encourage you to call Mary Beth. She, as always, is eager to take your phone calls and answer your questions and help you out in any way she can. Remember the 5-minute rule, which Mary Beth has changed to the 5-second rule. So please do call her. Again, this root cause step is very important to raising student achievement. We want to make sure that it's done really well in your school, and that means we need to and we want to. We're eager to be there to help. So thanks very much. Call Mary Beth if you have questions, and we'll end the video now. Thank you.